Do you like toys? Big Bad Toy Store has toys. If you click the link in the description below and give them money, you too can have toys. Now watch my video. Hello and welcome to VR Reviews. Today we'll be reviewing the SH Figuarts Gotenks. So yes, here we have the most recent SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z release, which is Gotenks. Honestly, I have a lot of problems with this figure. He's not terrible, but he's very disappointing. If you're a really big fan of Gotenks, he might be worth picking up, but otherwise you could probably pass on this figure. Alright, starting off with a quick size comparison, of course here we have Gotenks. Here's our standard Marvel Legends 6-inch Cosmic Armor Iron Man and 3 3/4-inch Marvel Universe Wolverine. As you would expect, with Gotenks being 1/12 scale and a smaller character in general, he is much shorter than an American 6-inch scale figure, and of course bigger than a 3 3/4-inch figure. And here he is compared to a standard size SH Figuart, which is Goku, and a small SH Figuart, which is Teen Gohan. And here is where I get to my first main complaint, is that Gotenks is way too tall. He's just a tad bit shorter than Teen Gohan. I was honestly worried he might even be taller than Gohan was before he came out, so at least he's not that. But he should be about up to Goku's waist, and he's just way too tall. Honestly, the scaling in this line is bad at the best of times, but this is a particularly bad example of them making someone the wrong size. Now let's get everything else out of here and just look at Gotenks. Alright, moving on to our 360 spin. Of course, Gotenks' upper body is bare with the exception of his fusion vest, which has the puffy yellow parts on it, and the vest itself is dark blue. That all looks fine. He's got some black bracers on his wrists. His sash and ankle wrappings are a nice light bluish green color, and his pants are white with some shading on them. The muscles on his chest and everything are sculpted fine. The only issue here, and it is a fairly noticeable one, is that his chest, where it attaches to the vest, because they painted it instead of having it molded in the flesh color, is a different color than the rest of all of his flesh. It's more or less noticeable depending upon what the lighting is like. It's not that noticeable here on video, but it's noticeable in person, and it's noticeable in other people's pictures and videos, so you're just going to have to see for yourself, really. But it is certainly a fault, and something they could have easily remedied by simply making the vest and chest out of two different molded pieces. But apart from that, he looks perfectly fine. Head sculpt-wise, Gotenks has his yellow Super Saiyan hair, and it has some nice shading on it and little sculpted lines in it. And then he has 3 face plates. He has his normal, slightly smiling face. I really don't like this face. I don't know what it is about it, but it just doesn't really look like a Gotenks face to me. Then he has his big, open-mouth, arrogant kind of face. I like this one. This one's fine. And then he has his puffed out cheeks face, which is the face he makes whenever he's making the super ghost kamikaze attack thingies. Not counting the first one, I am fine with all the faces. They're all sculpted and painted well. It would have been nice to get a base form head for Gotenks, as he does have very interesting looking hair, so I would have preferred that. But I can understand them not wanting to include extra heads. But if they had just made him smaller, they would have had plastic left over to make extra heads with. Maybe they could have even given us a Super Saiyan 3 head, which is, I know, something a lot of people would also want. Articulation-wise, you get fairly standard SH Figuarts articulation. Ball pegs in the head and neck, so those go forward and back, side to side, move around, you get decent head movement, and yes, his faceplate did fall off. They do that a lot. That's a little quality control issue. Shoulders have little up and down type butterfly joints, move around in the socket, in and out, forward and back. Bicep cut. Hinge and rotation in the elbow. Hinge and rotation in the wrist. You get ball pegs in the chest and waist, you get some decent body movement. Hips go in and out, forward and back. Thigh rotation. Double jointed knees, hinge and pivoting in the ankles, and a toe joint. So you should be able to get him into mostly fine poses. His lack of double jointed elbows is a bit unusual, seeing as he's not smaller than Gohan or anything, so they could have just used that same sort of architecture, but whatever. Accessories-wise, Gotenks comes with a reasonable amount of stuff. He has 8 hands. He has 2 fist hands, 2 peace sign hands, 2 grippy sort of fighting pose hands, and then he has 1 open palm hand and 1 pointing hand. It would have been nice to just get 2 of each of these hands, but that's not really that big of a deal. Then he has his Super Ghost Kamikaze attack. He does only come with one of them, but it would have been a bit silly to expect him to have more than one. It's translucent, light blue, and really nicely sculpted. I have no complaints about that. Then he has his Galactic Donut, which is my favorite Gotenks attack, so I am glad they included that. It comes with a little special clip that attaches to a Tamashi stand, so you can make it float over his head. And lastly, you get your Tamashi stand. It comes with one 3-jointed arm and one 4-jointed arm. And like I said before, the Galactic Donut stand attaches to one of the arms, or you can attach the Super Ghost to one of the arms, or you can use one of the arms to hold him up. So plenty of accessories and posing options there. Packaging-wise, you get your standard SH Figuarts packaging, SH Figuarts Super Saiyan Gotenks, window to display the figure. Picture of Gotenks on the side, you get your Funimation, Toei Animation, Dragon Ball Z, Bandai logos, all those sorts of things. And on the back you get some pictures and poses for the figure. As always, these are good for in or out of package display, and that about wraps it up for Gotenks. So until next time, goodbye!